I've had spirited discussions with a lot of people I respect about superannuation. It's clear many of them and many of you think it's okay to change the superannuation rules retrospectively in order to go after the millionaires and the filthy rich. Well, as a matter of principle, I don't. And that principle applies to anyone with superannuation, whether the threshold be $3 million or $300,000 or $30,000. If governments can do it to someone else, then remember they can do it to you too. Last week, I suggested they wouldn't do it to themselves by targeting the cosy defined benefits pension scheme. This is the scheme that allows politicians and public servants like Anthony Albanese and Wayne Swan to retire on an annual pension of hundreds of thousands of dollars every year, indexed for their lifetime. And even when they die, a whopping 88% of it flows onto their spouse for their lifetime too. That scheme means the Prime Minister's pension pot could be worth the equivalent of having as much as $20 million stacked away. Now, it's the same scheme that saw former politicians like Bill O'Chee and Natasha Stott-Despoja retire in their 30s, and they started getting their taxpayer-funded pension immediately. Incredibly, this generous scheme isn't fully funded, meaning we have to keep finding money every single year to keep these beneficiaries in the lifestyle they've become accustomed to. Now, all the media commentary says that tackling the defined benefits of politicians and public servants, it's too hard. But it's not, actually. Here's a simple way they can level the playing field. Firstly, you get an actuary to calculate what would be the risk-free rate of return on, say, a $3 million nest egg based on life expectancy at retirement age. That becomes the absolute maximum that any single defined benefits pensioner superannuant could get from our public system. At a guess, it's likely to be around $150,000 a year. It is still a pretty good sum, but it's nowhere near what they currently get. For those younger than the 65 retirement age, they get an actuarial calculated amount, again based on their life expectancy. And for someone in their 40s, it's probably going to be much, much lower, but it's still better than nothing. Then we make sure the pensions are not indexed for inflation, because you see that's the rule they're applying to our superannuation. And because the government keeps telling us super is not for retirement, or is for retirement I should say, and not for inheritance, we've got to cut the scheme off for the spouses. I mean, that would save the rest of us tens of billions of dollars. It won't happen. And I bet you can guess why. That's right. It's because the beneficiaries will complain about the unfairness of retrospective legislation. And you know what? They'd actually be right. It would be unfair. But so is the retrospective legislation and rule changes they want to foist on the rest of us. Again, maybe you think it's all okay because, like the politicians, this tranche of proposed change is unlikely to affect you. Well, as I said earlier, if you abandon principle because it only negatively impacts others, then it's only a matter of time before you become the next target.